Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go through everything you need and how to apply the Armor Shield 9 ceramic coating by Avalon King. Now other brands are going to be similar, however this one is going to be a little specific as far as flash off times for the Avalon King material. So I already did an unboxing video. It comes with the ceramic coating itself. You get this little applicator sponge, a couple little microfiber towels, and a little buffing cloth as well to apply everything, as well as a pair of nitrile gloves. So you're going to need all of those. If you buy a ceramic kit that doesn't have all of the microfibers and the applicator sponge, you will have to get those as well. So just check what your kit comes with at the time of purchase and try to order everything else at the same time if it's not included already. Now prior to applying it, you got to get everything prepped and ready for it because you're really going to seal in what's already there on the paint. For anyone who's new to this channel, I'll be applying this today to my 2004 Dodge Viper, and I bought the car. The whole thing was covered top to bottom in scratches. I already got it paint corrected. However, it was in such bad condition that when a detailer did the full paint correction, the paint now is so fragile you can literally scratch it by touching it like this with your finger. That's all it takes. So because it is so fragile, I bought a big pack of the Chem Guys really thick plush microfiber towels. This way I am way less likely to scratch the paint. The car's been sitting in the garage for a few weeks. It does have a lot of dust and stuff that's accumulated on it, so I do have to wash all that off before putting this on. And the microfibers I currently have I didn't think were thick enough, so I bought these to really reduce that risk of scratching the paint now that it's so fragile. Now as for what I'll be wiping off with those, you're going to make a solution out of water and isopropyl alcohol. So I bought these. I actually bought 3 of these. I'm not sure how many I'll use, and I bought 4 gallons of distilled water. Grand total cost for all of these together is something like $11. These are reasonably cheap. Now you don't want to apply straight isopropyl alcohol to your vehicle or your paint. That could really start to eat away at some of the finishing and potentially affect your paint, especially if you're doing this long-term, time after time. So what we're going to be doing is I've got an old spray bottle here. I've rinsed out repeatedly. I actually use this for soapy water normally. We're going to purge this entire thing with the distilled water, including spraying it out to clear out that nozzle and the sprayer on the top. And we're going to weaken the mixture about 10-to-1 of distilled water to isopropyl alcohol. That way, instead of a 91%, we're going to have closer to like a 10 to 15%. Most people don't recommend going over that. And the purpose of that is it's going to strip away any sealants, waxes, or anything on the top of your paint that could affect the bond of the ceramic coating. Now, you don't have to be perfect when you're mixing these ratios. It's about a 10-to-1. The density of this is about 3/4 of the density of this. So if you really want, you can break out something like an old scale. I bought this on Amazon for like $20 or something. You can use one of those if you want. Or to be honest, if you eyeball it, it'll probably be close enough. I would go a little heavier on the water if you're eyeballing it. That way it'll just take a little more of the mixture to clean things off rather than having it be too strong and potentially eating away at the paint or the clear coat to some extent. Now if your car isn't already paint corrected and ready to do this final IPA wipe, you want to do a full cleaning at the bare minimum, do a really good wash. And what you'll also want to do is you want to do either a clay barring preferably or a full paint correction and buffing as well. Like I said, mine was just fully paint corrected, so mine's good to go. That's why I'm starting with the IPA wipe. Now I'm obviously filming this prior to having done the whole thing, so I don't know exactly how much of these I'll use, but when I figure it out at the end, I will put the number of each right here in front of them for you to see. Now with that said, let's get to applying. Now first things first, we're going to purge this using the distilled water. The reason we're doing that instead of tap water is tap water has minerals in it, and if you mix tap water with the isopropyl when you're doing the final wipe down and you're drying it off, there is a chance you could leave some of those mineral deposits on the final product, and then you're going to seal those in after you do the ceramic coating so they won't go away until that coating wears off, which is usually anywhere from 2 to 5 years. By using distilled water, we're taking away that chance of the mineral deposits, and these are also reasonably cheap. So these are 88 cents a gallon at Walmart. So if you're really looking to cut costs, I don't think this is the place to do it. Now by shaking it with the stem and everything in there, we're also going to rinse off the outside of the stem. I don't think there's going to be a lot that'll be on the outside of the stem, but I mean, every little bit counts.
Now, like I've said, I've used this spray bottle a lot before for soapy water, so it's already fairly well purged. There's not a whole lot of chemicals, therefore I can purge it less now, only because I've already purged it before.
Now I'm stopping after these 2 purges. You can do up to 5. Anything over that is really going to be overkill. Pretty much the more you do, you're going to take out less and less on each one, but it'll give you closer to that pure result that you're looking for. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take the actual bottle, put it on top of this scale here, tear it off so it reads 0. Then we're going to add our isopropyl in. Then we're going to put the distilled water in after that. Right now we have just under 4 ounces of isopropyl alcohol in there at 91%. To get the ratio we want, we would have to add about 50 ounces of distilled water. So what I'm going to have to do is pour a little bit of this out. If you're going by weight, if you have 91% isopropyl alcohol, whatever that weight is, you need 12 times that in distilled water. So we have just under 3 ounces right now of the isopropyl, and we're gonna re-tare it. We're gonna go for like 36 ounces of distilled, which I don't think is gonna happen, but we'll see. We're at about 20 ounces of distilled water right now, filling it all the way up to the top. So what that means is I would have to put in half as much isopropyl as I did initially. So what I'm gonna do is pour this out, redo this whole thing, putting in half the initial amount. If you're just eyeballing it, what it means is you're gonna fill up just over the bottom of this front label with isopropyl. So it'll come up, you know, half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, and then the rest is going to be distilled. And that's if you're using 91% isopropyl. If you're using a lower percentage, you're going to put more isopropyl and less water. I'm not going to show this, but I'll remix this now, then we'll go out into the garage. Now, as with anything that is detailing or paint correction related, you want to always start in a spot that's very inconspicuous, that you're not going to see in case it doesn't go well. So what I'm doing here is starting on the passenger side door sill, because this is something that I personally just about never see. First things first, we're going to get all of our materials in the area. I'm in a very tight spot of my garage, so this isn't exactly comfortable for me. Holy crap, the chem guys seal their microfibers well. So you have the ceramic coating kit, got our microfibers from the chem guys, and I have my isopropyl distilled water mix that is actually mixed correctly now. I'm gonna spray this off. I don't know what sealants and waxes and stuff the detailer put on here, but it is beating up quite a bit, so I'm guessing there's quite a lot of it, whatever it is. A lot less beating on this one, if you've noticed. So your ideal case is going to be no beating at all. That is really what you want to get a good adhesion surface. What I am figuring out from this car is going to take a lot longer than I thought it would because of the amount of sealant the detailer put on.
Here's the thing, right? You don't need to have it perfectly bead free, and it doesn't have to be a perfectly clean sheet of water when you spray everything on. You just want it to have the bulk of the sealants off so that you still have a good bond to the surface that's below when you apply the ceramic coating. All right, this surface is now prepped and ready to go. It is dried off fully. Don't see any streaking. I don't see any watermarks. It is still a little bit scratched because it's a footwell and none of those scratches came out from the detailer. I will not be able to get them out. I am not nearly as skilled as that detailer is in paint correction because I have not done paint correction at all. But other than that, this is actually ready for the coating to be applied. I'm not gonna hit this surface down here yet. That is obviously still wet. Just gonna start with this top section that I know is good. Now I'm just using blue nitriles instead of the black ones that came with the kit, just because I already had them on hand. But to apply this, we're gonna shake this well. We have our applicator sponge and we have these little microfiber terry cloth type things. Today's apparently the day of impossible to open bags. We wrap the cloth around the sponge. Again, the little spongy soft side is going to be down. I'm going to give this a good shake, make sure it's mixed properly. And we're going to crack it open just a bit, pull out this plug and get to work. So you don't need a ton, you just need a little bit of a line down the center. Now we're going to do long strokes down the length of this and then across. All right, this part is very important, so I'm showing this in real time. You don't want to just do a quick, rapid application where you're ripping your arm back and forth down this thing. Go nice and slow. The point of this is to apply the ceramic coating, so you want to give it time to actually soak into that surface on your vehicle as you're moving along. It's not a race game here. It's nice and patient, smooth strokes. You want a nice, even application from the start of the surface to the end of where you're wiping. As smooth of a flow as you can get. I'm working around some of the screw heads here. Don't worry if you have elevated surfaces, just go around them. Now it's about 45 degrees in my garage right now. It's a little chilly. That is going to affect the cure time. Going to make it take a little bit longer than it would otherwise. The warmer it's going to be, the faster that this is going to flash off. When I say time to haze up, that means to get that like rainbow finish, become opaque and hazy, and that's how you know it's time to buff it and wipe it down with a cloth. The hotter the environment that you're in and the hotter the material, the faster it'll flash off. So we're just going to sit a few minutes, wait till we start to see it haze up, and that's when we're going to wipe it all off. Now different brands flash off a lot faster, and a warmer temperature will make it flash off faster as well. That is already noticeably deeper black than everything else around it. You can really see it here at the panel between the one edge and the other. Yeah, this one looks way more dull, and this one is really starting to pop now that the coating's on it. What I'm looking for with the light is a rainbow appearance to any of the surface. Starting to get some of that rainbow effect over here. That means it's starting to flash off.
Doing this in real time again because this part's important. When it's getting to the point that it's rainbowing and it's getting that kind of hazy effect, you're not looking to scrub everything down. You're not pressing hard into it. You're literally just absorbing all the excess with the cloth they have included. So a nice smooth wipe, start to finish. One direction is preferable to avoid any scratches, and you want to start in the rainbow/hazy areas. That way you get rid of all those high spots first. That will leave you with a better finished product because it will give you a more even coating. You're going to wipe it from the high areas down to the low areas. Probably the most important piece of advice is to use your light here, right? Hit it from as many different viewing angles as you can, move the light around, and really get a feel for how thick the coating is in different areas so that you know if any area is thicker than the rest. Quick wipe like I'm doing here is all it takes to get rid of that high spot.
Now when I'm going over it here with the microfiber, I'm not really pressing in. It's just a light pass to try to remove any of those really rainbow colored spots. Those are spots where you have a coating that is slightly thicker or higher than other areas. You're really just looking to level it out. That's kind of the goal with that pass, and make sure that the coating is going to be even the entire way across. So this actually looks pretty good. Right now I'm not seeing any high spots at all, and I can definitely see the color difference between these two panels as we said before. I'm actually pretty content with that. That looks good. I'm going to give this another 2 or 3 minutes just to flash off some more, make sure nothing else is going to happen. Then if we're satisfied with this and we're convinced that this is the correct amount of flash off time, we're going to go ahead and proceed with the rest of the car.
This is just me being an engineer and a chronic overthinker, giving it way too much time to make sure there was no residual effects a couple minutes down the road. Needless to say, nothing else happened after that initial flash off and after that initial wiping. I was just making sure everything was good so I didn't have to worry about it.
Yep, couple minutes later now, this still looks really good. I'm going to do one quick final pass with this buffing cloth. Again, you're not trying to press super hard. It's just a nice light pass to clean up any excess or residue. And now I think we are good enough that we can move on to the rest of the car and hit areas that I actually care about, such as not the door jamb on the passenger side. Now, I did a lot of research before I went with the Avalon King, and the reason I chose it was not only did it provide one of the best finishes and one of the better lifespans, it was also consistently reviewed as the easiest kit and the best kit for first-time ceramic coaters. So this stuff is a little more forgiving than other brands from what I've heard. However, other brands should more or less be the same process as far as wiping off the residue after it starts to haze and removing those high spots where you kind of get that rainbow finish effect. So yeah, it looks pretty good other than these scratches that are unremovable. So let's move on to the rest of the car. Now for the first exterior body panel that I'll actually see, I'm starting here in the back corner, low on the bumper, trying to get it low enough that I don't ever have to see it if it doesn't go well. I'm very worried about how much clear coat was taken off, and I am very worried that this surface is going to scratch very easily, even with those really plush microfiber towels I got. So for that reason, this is going to be my test area, and I have no idea how it's going to go. Once again, quite a bit of sealant or wax or whatever that's on this thing. It's beating up quite a lot. That is not what you want from the perspective of trying to get a nice clean bond line. You'll notice I'm only wiping in one direction as I do this, and that's because if you do leave scratches, that way they'll only be going in one direction, and they'll come out a little bit easier if you go back to do paint correction again.
This is the same cleaning process that we use on the door sill. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want the vast majority of the sealants and the contaminants away so that you get a good clean bonding surface that the ceramic coating can adhere to. Also remember to keep rotating your towel to a dry portion.
That might be an issue. This whole bottom part here has a whole lot of spray. I don't know if that's caked on dirt or what.
Now this is a fairly common problem behind any of the wheels, not just the rears. Take your time and really get a bunch of this off during the prep work. The more you get off then, the easier this will be now.
All right, checking with the light. A couple of lighter scratches in some of these areas you can see, which is a little nerve-wracking. All right, these ones are just streaks. That one's an actual scratch. We'll make it work though. That's what we got to do. That's the one thing that really sucks about a thorough paint correction like this, is the clear coat is now so thin. There is nothing you can do to touch it or look at it even the wrong way without scratching it to some extent.
Just like the footwell, same application pattern, long even strokes one side to the other and then across in a different direction.
And now we wait. Try to get those little fuzzies out. Another quick pass with it.
Looking at it now, there's actually just a number of really fine scratches the whole way around this section. I'm wondering if the detailer was just not able to get those out. Back bumper and the rear trunk lid actually look pretty good overall, but a few very minor things here and there I can see. Either way, it's so much better than it was before that I don't really care too much. So I'm getting really nitpicky. At the end of the day, it's still so much better than it was that I really can't complain. Alright, it's starting to get some of that rainbow haze in, especially see it through here. So now we wipe. Yeah, it's got some definite scratches in it. That's disappointing. Now, looking at it as close as I am and going into the level of detail that I'm going into, that's kind of the main reason I'm seeing these scratches now, but I missed them before. I think most of these scratches are extremely nitpicky. They're not actual real issues, especially considering how noticeable and bad of shape they were prior to getting the paint correction. For now, we'll go through, we'll hit the rest of the car, and we'll preserve what we can.
And that is how you apply a ceramic coating. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.